you that drag racing is using they're blowing out their ears, but the majority of these competition-style vehicles running on methanol, which comes from an entirely different source. Of course, it's a plant-based alcohol fuel. Something started to slip, and I think it was in the trans rather than the tyre, so he's shut it off. That's for sure. And Steve's looking for a spot in Superstock Eliminator, and Superstock very well subscribed, Robin, at the moment. It's a bit of an achievement in itself. That's the best entry this on a solo. Records at 1277. Tackman running that G gas class. It's gases we're seeing, supercharged cars, etc. But it's a G, 8.5 pounds per cubic inch. So a relatively small V8, but still motivated. The for D gas is 9.6 seconds. I'm not sure whether I think Steve will go on his own. Graham Silk and the dragster will be held, and they'll make a pairing up next time out. And Graham Silk, quite an astute racer from the ACT. And I think all of the manufacturers' top camshaft kits, roller rockers, gear drives, stainless steel belts, rod bolts and studs. Tackman getting guided towards the little traction compound there. The engine temperature must be just up there by now, Milton. Yeah, it's a degasser, right? I think the engine must have almost evaporated by now. Absolutely planted the rear end there on the drum. The functional thing at the moment. Queenslanders down here. National record for AA dragsters, 6.19, 231 mile an hour. The wheel is approximately meters or any other metric method. This is a fortunate measure with material standard to match up with the American standard with a quarter volt, and all over the world it's measured in imperial standard. So a pair of very, very different modified cars on the starting line now. Kind of 636 is that little
hell away. Come on.
Don't want anything, but just like a barbecue plate. Everyone's hungry.
Pay us $290 a week to live in a whale house. So we'll be there. That would be worthwhile in doing the job. Oh, but he gets, like the flats are doing, he gets $6 grand a flat. It takes us a day to shoot it. Admittedly, it takes another day for him to set it.
For a change.
386. Got 120 in the hand for it.
Pretty rusty old
We
thing.
worked the Ross today. Oh, yeah.
What, Adrian's car?
Away.
Need a beer on him.
Holding a bag, holding car.
very shortly with the historic first pass at the Eastern Creek Raceway. But just before then, I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Tony Thornton, the National Director of the Australian National Drag Racing Association.
To the first race, certainly has been a lot of work for a great number of people, and it has been something that has been expected with, how do I say it, just so much anticipation throughout the drag racing community and throughout the motorsport community. I think you'll find over the next 2 days that we will put on a great event, an event of the type that Eastern Creek was built and designed for. Essentially, with drag racing coming on stream, we're able to add another sport to this great.
Two top fuel drivers, the best in the sport. We'd like to call those forward just for a brief chat before they get themselves strapped in and ready to run. Of course, I'm referring to Whitfield Jim Reed and Rod Bradshaw. Fuel-injected nitro-burning dragster in the days of junior fuel, and Jim's been an integral part of every drag racing event that I can remember in my lifetime, and it really is great to see a man who's put so much into Australian drag racing here to put power to the track in what is going to be a demonstration, not actually a race, Dennis. So we get underway right after this with the qualifying session, but Jim will show you what, and Rod Bradshaw, what top fuel dragsters are all about. And as I was in the pits just previously, when they fired up this engine, it was like flies to a honey pot. People who had never heard a fuel dragster engine previously, and people like myself who haven't heard one for a little while, very, very glad to hear that sound. And I'm sure quite some people there were amazed at the sound of a fuel engine. There's nothing else like them in the world, and very, very shortly when Jim and Rod get into their cars, you'll see what I'm talking about, or you'll hear what I'm talking about. And really is great to see this facility come to fruition. Now, Dennis, you've been part of the seasoned friendships and good times I've ever had in my whole life at Castlereagh Dragway. It was sad to see it pass, but now we have something that can replace it, and with your cooperation and with the wonderful spirit that exists amongst the competitors of the New South Wales and the east coast of Australia, I'm sure this will go on to be bigger and better with every event we stage. And of course we'll talk a little later about the next coming event, which is the Australian Drag Racing Series Grand Final next month. And this is in fact a shakedown event for that thing. We really have had heaps of drama to get here today. Actually, the track was struck by lightning several times last night and blew the electrics right out of the place. And credit to the guys who've worked all through the night, pumping our drains and getting the electrics working again. The boys are strapped in their dragsters now. These things, of course, for those of you have never seen them before, burn nitromethane fuel. Well, nitromethane is a dry cleaning waste product, actually, in today's world. And most of it now comes from China for some strange reason, because the rest of the factories in the world don't produce enough. In fact, I think the biggest one in America burnt down, but nitromethane fuel carries its own oxygen and doesn't rely as much as other fuels to draw in the explosive charge into the cylinder. Nitromethane carrying its own oxygen creates an artificial atmosphere which produces more power, and of course supercharged dragster engines are something else. You'll hear them any minute now. We're just running out of breath here waiting for those aircraft type starters to be hooked on the front of those dragsters. They'll whirl those engines over and you'll hear them burst into life for the opening pass of the opening of Eastern Creek Raceway's drag racing program, which I hope is the linchpin to bigger and better things for the sport of drag racing in Australia.
Well, Milton, we've just been informed that in fact this first time both rails are only going to run a half pass. Obviously track conditions here to have to find how suitable things are. There's been a lot of compound just being put down on the track, and as we talked earlier,
shutdown was intentional, which is currently still in effect, has been said, but as you said, it takes some running on the track to get the track in and bring it to hopefully stay. Down to the stage range and get our qualifying. Yes, it looks really good. This car's been around for quite a while and has seen in just about everything that happens to it will, so it's particularly identifying the bottle location on the boot of the Cortina. Of course, nitrous oxide can add anywhere. There's the wheel stand we're talking about. Did you get the gong as the first wheel thing? Capri, which shows you is 0.2 of a second late. And of course, Rob,
To American Auto Parts, a guy who's been around on drag racing since Hong Kong. Pilot is one time top audio. So almost the computer combination. All very good experimental group.
James Holly with his front engine dragster there. Runs at 10:39. 10:39 with a little Kawasaki Suzuki power dragster New South Wales some time ago. And the race fab, interesting Holden 1-tonner. The only car that features exposed wheel front. The You see the car work that's used in the chassis rocker construction of these cars. It's normally hidden under the roof, of course, in a sedan, but in this big car, it's all like that integrities to show us what it's about. A very long sort of wheelie bars on the car. The wheelie bar is quite essential to stop some of these vehicles literally doing a backward somersault. These big drag racing slips. 14, some of them up to 16 inches wide. On a very, very short differential housing, short rear axle.
Even though it's a Ford body, but it does have a big block shed on board. 454 Chevy. I was quite amazed really on my recent trip to America. I thought that there's an obvious bias, although even in the United States at the moment, the fans have some great credit to the crew and all their sort of time. They're very hard-working, dedicated, David Street, and I'll be back later on. So,
Noticing Melbourne having a look at some of those top fuelers, the size of the fuel lines on them, about the same thickness as your normal petrol Bowser hose line.
about an 1.5 inch diameter internally, and we talk about those top fuels to give you a lot more information, because there's a very interesting article in the latest Dragster Australia magazine, so I would commend that to you. If you're interested in the sport of drag racing, by all means read that article on top fuelers. It's extremely well written, and back cars, they've got amazing. Big block powered, has a big block Chev under the bonnet. Knocking at 12.89. Wonderful. And we have a speed for Bob there, the first speed of the day, 100. Michael Moss is with a Cleveland engine under the bonnet of that Cortina. And it's
lane. He's getting an alternative traction compound under the tyres. It's a very, very sticky compound that takes the tyre, it takes the start line. And I can tell you, I've got high loads up Reebok on, and you almost step out of your boots when you try and walk across that start line now. It is absolutely wonderfully surprised by that. That's what it's got. From the United States. Behind drag racing edition, because they can see the value of these shows that they get. But Forces Jackson coming our way with Lucky Valerian. That's a lucky story too. He's getting that popular a little bit. Popular picture lane. And Bob Blackie from South Australia come across to the big part of history, the big part of the EMC racing. He's got a car starting power drag to it, runs in modified. Lucky Valerian is running double A Jack. The same class as the 55 Chevy we just saw. 167 mile an hour top end from Thompson, and that will get quite a driving job because from our commentary position here behind the start line we can see two black marks for the entire quarter mile as he lays them down. When you consider the terminal speed record for double A Jack is 170 kilometres. Runs a 9 little drag to it. 10:48. These supercar cars are coming out of the faster. Now that's the yellow 30. The whole way. John Payne will be running in competition eliminator, I imagine. Remember, he's nominated as a double D Corvette. This Corvette is actually a fiberglass replica body. It's not an original body. As a result, classes, and he's nominated as a double D Corvette. His national record for that class is 7:33. That's going to be handicapped off. Meanwhile, with a double A Jack class car. His national record is a 7:97. Race down the qualifying, you see the Luke get a start of 4.6 cents per second. And we've still got the Tony vehicle up there in the defense. Lucky Valeri used up all the braking area and just quite get around the bend. So he's up on the plateau, so to speak. He's driving the start line once he expressed on the fountain again. The start line is a both. We're going to be settled. John Payne looking forward to his engine build up heat very, very quickly, and if they don't run any cooling system. Some of course, the quality of the races here is second to none. The first top is coming up, and I tell you, the first top star is there. Alternatively either in competition right eliminator, which is sponsored by 10 Cents Motorcycle Performance, or as a separate bracket with heads up, One Amber Racing. Morris Allen won that third bracket at the National race last weekend in Adelaide, back here to Sydney for the Open and in Queensland, so dragging up 20 miles. Double B altered class in the competition eliminator. That's right, it's competition eliminator supported by Canon Australia for all your electronic needs. Canon Australia calculated computers, video commitments, Canon leads the market. So for innovative products, call for Canon. And double the 91 miles per hour. So John Payne with a hard road to hoe. Let's see how close he can get to 7.33 seconds. And we'll later on in the evening, of course, we'll bring out as to how the qualifying stands at the end of the day. Start line Second car off the line this time. Standard at this point in time. John Payne, 784. Beautiful south, got the car set up. Suspension worked right. Didn't wander around much at all. A 784, I think you'll be fairly happy with that at this stage of qualifying. Running double B gas class. Record for double B gas in super stock. 7.96 seconds. Terminal speed record is 168.22 miles. A bit squirrely and a bit crackly, and a bit floaty.
Now the faster part of the program, any car that ran 11.9, 1.2 seconds handicap visible on the tree. So they'll go a half a second before the tree starts to count down for the Lancer after the Falcon leaves. Range out there, I just do a little bit of an alignment on the way because you've got
Dial with a 9.9 seconds coming against any big others. He dialed in at 11.99. I've been here with over 2 seconds handicap. Do you remember that? And quite honestly, the first article standing up with Unbelievable tyre shake in his qualifying attempt earlier today. the whole now, Jackson. We should have a rather lengthy handicap of well over 2 seconds. Well, wasn't it? Absolutely. One of Australia's best credentialed road racers of any sort.
It's too close anyway.
When we're talking motorcycles. And we're just, Gary Frank's unable to complete the...
It's too close. You had my dial in it. You clock.
To get up in a high performance world, that's Warren Griffiths, the high performance world. Muscle park start. We're in the second round of Super Sedan Eliminator. And any super top competitors that are still in the pits, running very, very shortly. Competition eliminator competitors should be on the move. Take the win in the crowd side. There it is. Well, it's quite the American version of the MJ Holden, I suppose, is what everybody has. Super Sedan sees Jeff Hiscock in the racing head service. Naro out there for a solo. Yeah, absolutely correct off the program once again. The launch session from our ladies. Harold VHC going down. Nice sticky stuff for the big block Chevy now at Monado. He's holding at a 9.98. Super Stock Eliminator now, so we get all the details of that. Jock McLeod in the A-Gas Toyota Celica, powered by a fuel-injected methanol-burning big block Chev, and Steve Paxton. Starlight going to Packman in the VN Commodore, and we just McClellan move back to Sydney Sam. Doesn't mind a brand on the odd occasion of the old job, but doesn't mix the drinking with the driving. Leaves it till after it's all over and done, which is a good thing that if you're driving, leave the other stuff alone until you get home. called it, if you drink and drive, you're a bloody idiot. I don't mind driving, I can tell you, I don't mind drinking. But I tell you, he was unbelievable. He said, Kevin, I didn't know that this time of the day existed. We're back on the farm when we've got a big kick on and you've got to get up early. We get up early around 10. We did get up at the crack of noon. With the brave in the Castrol back, 57 Chevy running double V gas, will give away a big handicap start to Kelvin 20. 2.36 seconds will be the start. Kelvin 20 running B modified sedan in the big Chevelle. Kelvin getting those blue front wheels back on the ground. Away from the car. You really got to get out of
as a black hole from which the government cannot climb. North Shore MP Mr Smiles has confirmed he signed the letter and has given several explanations on how the controversy erupted.
At the centre of the storm, retired schoolteacher Mrs Valerie Niblett. She came to Parliament House armed with a letter allegedly sent to her by her local MP Philip Smiles, declaring in part, Eastern Creek is a black hole out of which the government now finds it impossible to climb. Earlier, Premier Greiner told Parliament, the member for North Shore advises me the letter is a complete fraud. Philip Smiles' reaction a short time later was less direct. The letter circulating in my name, he said, may not necessarily represent my views. Valerie Niblett had no doubt about the authenticity of the letter.
I assume it is a letter written in good faith in reply to my letter that I wrote in good faith. If it isn't, if this isn't from Mr Smiles, why hasn't he replied to my letter anyway?
The opposition then produced a number of documents bearing Philip Smiles' signature, comparing them to the signature on the Niblett letter.
I don't know if there's an inference that I've, sort of cooked this up somehow, I'm in collusion with somebody, because that is not true.
At a late afternoon news conference, Philip Smiles finally accepted responsibility for the letter, although he could not remember signing it or sending it out. He blamed a computer breakdown in his office for the letter not being on file, suggesting the key word "not" had been left out of the reference to Eastern Creek as a black hole.
I did not intentionally mislead the House or the Premier, but I am satisfied that I cannot prove beyond reasonable doubt that the letter in question did not emanate from my office. I am accepting, as I must on the balance of probabilities, that the letter is genuine, and I'm accepting that I made a mistake. This is no attempt by me to run away from the fact that I may well have executed and signed that letter. I am saying to you that on the balance of probabilities, I have got to accept that I signed that letter. I therefore am guilty of missing in one sentence one word. I accept that, and that will be the nature of my apology to the House later this afternoon.
But the Labor opposition is refusing to accept Philip Smiles' explanation.
The simple fact of the matter is that now the Premier must either insist on the sacking, the resignation of Mr Smiles, or he must resign himself.
The ALP is sending the original letter to a handwriting expert in Canberra to prove...
May look simple. Stand on the gas and pop the chute. But things can go wrong, like this terrifying ride at the Willowbank circuit in Queensland 12 months ago. Reid somehow walked away uninjured and described the shunt as an occupational hazard.
Yeah, we've had a few minor little spills here and there. You know, we've clipped the odd fence, we've run off a few tracks, we've had parachute failures and gone into landing nets at the end of Adelaide Raceway over the years, but that's the first bad one that I've ever had, and let's hope it's the last.
Last weekend at the Creek, Reid set a new Australian top fuel speed record, an incredible 424 kilometres per hour. But that 5.5 seconds represented weeks of preparation.
Yes, there's a hell of a lot more involved to driving one of these things than people realise. It's sure, once the lights are on and they see that green flash, it's only a matter of stepping on the gas hard and then waiting for any bad reactions. But beforehand, you go through a burnout procedure, and that's to get the tyres a bit sticky so that at least you know you're going to get some adhesion to the racetrack.
Eastern Creek might have its knockers, but 18,000 fans turned out last Sunday for the event. The sport is on the way back in Sydney, and organisers expect an even larger head count for the grand finals of the Australian Championships there next weekend. Andy Raymond reporting for Sports World.
What a good sign there, somebody who really knows.
Turned up to reclaim it, is that?
I think he was mainly more thrilled with my wallet, actually, and you know, 2 or 3 than what anyone else would give him because it was my car, but he was a nice guy to negotiate with, and I was keen to buy it, and he was quite happy to sell it, you know, so I suppose we were all pretty pleased about it.
Later, Norm invited another champion behind the wheel to explain what racing was like in the good old days.
Oh, yeah, plenty of you race it with a bench seat? Yes, just like that. Bobby James said it the other day at Colby. He said, "Hey, Norm, what seats did you have when you raced?" I said, "What are you talking about, Bob? That you had to leave the car stock standard." God, how did you keep in? Well, I used to borrow a cushion off my mum, off her couch.
Self-destruct in 11 seconds.
concrete. Race director was quite a little deal with that.
One quarter, mate. He's going to get his stall there. Before General Motors. Hey, no, he just sits there. This is his red off. It's almost so they did it to him at the Nationals. Let's see if he can do it to him again this weekend. He's got his work cut out. Missing hand both stabilised on. Not quite ready there and having further problems. John, me,
2-lap record to improve his standing in competition eliminated. Competition eliminated brought to us this weekend by Coca-Cola. Modification specialist has an approved conversion V8 Unicapri and Ford in the Volvo, hanging about 0.4 gear up to where they thought they were when they started. Michael Boyd backing away now to let the CP car through. Yeah, well, you can Here's now the 3:30 rush. It's on. There's less than about 80 minutes to qualify.
Top fuel dragsters are back at Eastern Creek Raceway. Look out, Sydney. The nitro-burning top fuel dragsters are back at Eastern Creek Raceway this weekend in the Winfield International Top Fuel Series. Come and feel the awesome power as the best rocket men from Australia, New Zealand and the US of A blast the quarter mile at over 400 kilometers per hour. Qualifying Saturday, racing Sunday 11 till 5. The Winfield International Top Fuel Series at Eastern Creek this weekend.
Put on some sunblock for the state. Super stock, nominated in AA gas, where the record is a 7.96. And this week is a big one, Jimmy, under the monitor. Very much in line when we talk about top fuel, and Ron Bradshaw starts the tow. shallow ground, so there's still more top fuel. He has seen and heard Glenn Micah's 550 and 260. But Brett missed out on qualifying at Willow Bank, where he failed to reach the start line lead by about 18 inches before he was put out on the 22nd while doing the composite qualifying. Move him, I believe he's okay. He's fine, he's waved his hands, but Rick Layla, totally out of shape in the burnout, across, rolled sideways, hit the guardrail, upside down, but put your hands together for him. Rick Layla out of the car, he's fine.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you saw it there right in front of you. That's it, put your hands together for him. He missed the Christmas tree, the car came away from the line and totally flipped and upside down into the wall. But the safety standards put in place by Andra show that everything's fine. Rick Layla quickly pulled his hand up and waved and said that everything's okay. And he won't be a real happy man. I was just talking to him down there at he was looking forward to a good week. But unfortunately, a problem there with the fuel seat, as we now see Wayne Missingham. Well, actually Andrew Constantine out there with the Blowen Wildbun style double B gas hole. We're running in Coca-Cola Super Top. Actually, we could have a... They're running in super stock today. In the Field Triple Challenge on Australia as well. So the best of drag racing on that weekend. Strickland coming, Rob. After the release of the I really think the fans have been involved in the drag racing have been stirred up. Bradshaw has come out. He failed to make the field at Willow Bank when he missed his opportunity in the compulsory qualifying session. No chance of that happening this time. He's running today. He's going to get an early one in. He wants to be in the field. He wants a crack at the money, and he wants a crack at Glenn Micah's. Micah's has run 5.50. What can Sydney's Rod Bradshaw do? The first of the Australians to run in this round of the Whitfield International Top Fuel Series is Rodney Bradshaw. He's brought there and Rod Bradshaw will be looking to run a good run.
Bob Shepherd would rather be nowhere on earth than wrapped in fiberglass on the start line at a drag strip. Very dedicated competitor in competition. Looking to improve his spot in Tennis Australia, competition eliminator at the Stone
I'd say Woodley, I can't say I've seen the car before. It is again another very, very well presented car, and race car engineer.
It's 550, 260.87 mile an hour. We have seen Rod Bradshaw with a very, very quick run to half track before he had the engine problems. Now we've got Jim Reed on the line. And remember, we've got 6 of these top fuel cars here. They all compete in a compulsory qualifier tomorrow with 3 paired passes. Then we've got a semi-final and a final. What a way to go for the win. Beautiful day, Yamaha with good cars. Quickly, head down in front of the car. Right out, being brought up and lead to a not-so-good race. Aluminium quad cam engine dragster running exhibition as the car has not got enough weight to be legal for AA dragster. Had problems on his earlier test. Big problems. Those pieces come everywhere and oil all over the start line. Push him off the track, please.
One of the Andrew stewards after him, Bill Creeley's over on his backside. It's all happening. You saw that, ladies and gentlemen. The bottom end of the motor just decided to relieve itself all over the start line. So, and other competitors, please note, if you know you've got a serious problem and you're rolling safely, roll off the track if you can possibly help us out, because that has just dumped litres and litres and is continuing to dump oil all over the track in the left-hand lane. So racers, get off the yourself out the bottom.
Certainly has. Bits and pieces of aluminium come away, followed by a whole heap of oil. And unfortunately, slight hold up now in proceedings while our trip crew get this cleaned up. But even bigger problems for the safety crew, unfortunately, with the rebuild involved on the engine. I would say going to cost quite a few dollars.
This is once more Winfield International Top Fuel Series qualifying as Landmakers build the control tower, Cyclone methane fumes. We're breathing it in, we're not going to waste it. This is what it's about. I spoke to Glenn Eames earlier and he said, I want to go to the tyres. Well, I can do that, I can run fast, so we're stepping it up a little bit more. Put your hands together for the Team USA as they come down to pick him up. He's up the hill, round the corner, and probably halfway back to the fence by now. They've got his
and ends the catch. The fleeing Glenn Mikers from the United.
Sunday, be at Eastern Creek this Sunday is Nitro Drag Racing Day, and Eastern Creek Raceway erupts with the fire of the Nitro Champs. See for the first time the Nitro burning funny cars rocket the quarter mile at over 400 kilometers per hour. Plus, there's awesome action from the Nitro Top Bikes and Top Fuel Dragsters. Tickets at Ticket Tech with qualifying Saturday and racing Sunday. Gates open 8 a.m. The Nitro Champs, the ultimate day of wild speed. Eastern Creek Raceway this Sunday. Be there. Sunday, be at Eastern Creek Raceway to see the Trans-Tasman Top Alcohol Challenge. It's supercharged alcohol dragster and funny car warfare between our Procom boys and the Kiwis. Catch 'em blast the famous quarter mile at over 400 kilometers per hour. Gates open at 8 a.m. with racing from 10. Score your tickets from Ticket Tech or at the gate. Come and support our Aussie heroes in the Trans-Tasman Top Alcohol Challenge. Drag
It's nice. Got him. Hey.
Hey, Victor, you got that much mud on it, you must have driven it there. Now that's probably, he runs 720 and 193 and he comes and says that to me.
Driving home, and he's had a few cheers. The coppers pull him up. He says,
Performance Chevy, and with him Benny Gatt, obviously representing the Sydney Tigers in New South Wales. Benny, the Blues are looking very strong on their home track.
Where's that black
And Ben, we've just been having a microphone talk, so we'll switch you to the headset. So I think the cane toads must have got a PA on you. So that's the we'll go back to the Superflow talking out there with the 360 in Cleveland. The New South Walesmen and sticking predominantly with the small box style engines.
Yeah, well, mate, we're not as rich as the Queenslanders. You run small box, but a lot of guys run.
And following on from your Superflow head car, we've got Al Fountain. Al, I think, running his first ever this weekend.
Yeah, he ran an 8-1 yesterday. He's really happy. So he's car, he cuts a good line.
And he's running a Chrysler engine.
Yeah, 392. Yeah, 392.
He's been pretty happy with it.
He's been running 6 and 8-1. 167, 168, so he's really happy. His car runs good, and then he's pretty good on the line, so he should go well.
Also for New South Wales, and then Lucky Valeri came out and blasted into the 7.
Yeah, well, he's going to run a 7-8 today, so he'll be a hard runner. Again, Lucky's still on the line too, so if we can keep his car running consistent, he cuts good lines, it'll be hard to beat.
And the final New South Wales team member is the fireman Quickie of Devlin, and he's running the biggest engine, a 460 odd cubic inch Chevy.
Him up there, but it does run. I hope the crowd get behind us, or if the crowd got behind them, it will have been.
Well, for the sake of Benny and the New South Walesmen, are there any New South Wales fans out there in the hill? I think you're going to have plenty of support out there, Ben. We're going to switch the microphone across to Greg. And Greg Thompson with me, one of the partners in Superformance and the Superformance Chevrolet. Greg, you must be very pleased with the State of Origin's concept for the Wild Bunch in general.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's the best thing that's ever happened to Wild Bunch. The only thing that could be better is if we ran it just like the football and this is the second round, hoping that there was going to be a third one. But...
Well, the Queenslanders take a handy lead into this one, and you've also led the way in qualifying. With your own car in particular, the yellow 55 Chevy up there for Superformance, you'd be pretty happy with that.
Oh, ecstatic. It's just a treat.
And Greg, tell the folks out there the figures, they're pretty impressive.
Yeah, the car ran a 728 at 193 mile an hour.
I did the stage. I tell you what, we got any cockroach fans out there for the New South Walesmen? Look at that wheel stand. Red light for the cane toad, I'm afraid, Greg.
Oh, yeah, I know. He was in deep stage. Give him a break. Give him a break.
Now, if you want to really... Well, that's Peter Priestley's now 100,
On me. My good side. Turn it. Yeah, no. Stop. Get the camera off.
Also, yeah, mate, they didn't have the survey shown here. And back on full this side, mate. Race number 2.
Goal is battle with the Fiat. One is Fiat, what you was at the end, down the back. And there's Tony the goalie in the ground side, coming up here at Eastern Creek, and of course the 2 through 92 are the top alcohol team on the 10th and 11th of
Good on you. Thank you, Darren. Monty, one of those beasts passed me on the highway back from Canberra last night.
That's what happens when you stay awake too long, Steve. Hallucinations, they're called.
Yes. Well, at least I didn't pass him. I'm a reformed driver.
I hope it was on the back of a truck, Steve. In case you've just joined us, we're at the Eastern Creek Raceway, and we're promoting this weekend's meet, which is the 1992 Australian Drag Racing Championships, and we just thought we'd show you what it's all about. This is obviously a drag racer. We'll start from the back and work forwards. This is where the parachute goes in the back. Bear in mind that these beasts are doing about, 340 to 360 kilometres per hour once they reach the end of the run, so they need some pulling up. These big tyres here, Steve, are worth about $1,100 a pair. They run on 4 pounds of pressure.
What was the pressure again?
4 only. 1, 2, 3, 4 pounds of pressure. The reason being to give maximum traction on the track. If there's any more pressure, of course, it crowns in the middle and they don't get the maximum contact. I don't know, there's an awful lot else without going into detail.
That looks like the motor in my Calais.
So once again, staying awake too long, Steve. Just to give you an example, comparing it to your Calais, now your Calais probably has an air intake valve about that size. This one has 3. Have a look at it. 3 air intake valves bigger than hamburgers.
That's a lot of air.
That'll give you some indication of how much fuel's being sucked into the air as well. I can't tell you an awful lot about the motor itself, but if we look into the cockpit here, obviously that's where you sit, this is how they change gears. First gear, 1 in like that. First out like that, second gear there, and third gear in like that. And they actually change gears 3 times throughout the course of 6 seconds. So it's all pretty frantic work in the cockpit. Beyond that, you've got a handbrake and a throttle and this thing here, which is a gear stick. It says either forward or, reverse or forward. So it's much like your average car, Steve, much like your Calais.
Yeah, it is.
It's almost identical.
You remember at the Grand Prix, they had to be able to get out of that cockpit within 5 seconds if there was a problem. Do they have the same sort of rules with the car racing like that? Or once you're in until you stop?
Can you get out of this in 5 seconds, Gary? Yeah, no problem. He can, yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
I don't know whether that's a prerequisite, but it may be just, they've felt the fumes, the flames before, and they get out very quickly anyway.
Good stuff.
Okay, Steve, we'll just have a look at the weather, and then I might clamber in and see what it feels like for so. I've managed to get in this. I know you're not a big cricket fan, but...
I love cricket.
You do love cricket?
Yes.
Well, this thing does about the same speed as your average fast bowler bowls a cricket ball. It does 22 yards. It reaches 100 miles an hour in 22 yards.
Now, you're not really going to drive that, are you?
Absolutely. Look at that. See those 3 big holes, the air intake valves?
Oh, yes.
I'm doing that. I'm actually causing that to happen.
You're so clever.
I know I am, Liz.
Is that it, Monty?
I don't think I can do anything else. They won't let me.
No, that's fine.
I'm pressing everything and nothing's happening. No, that's it.
That'll do.
I'm marooned. See you in half an hour.
Thanks, Monty. Bye-bye.
Don't let me at the wheels of something like that, something with so much power. But we are about to see a bit of action. We're still at Eastern Creek Raceway getting ready for this weekend's championships, which is the 1992 grand final of the Drag Racing Championships. And now, you can't feel it here, but what I'm standing on is very, very sticky. It's all about traction, and they actually put a glue compound on the track just so they have better traction. And another thing they do is a little burnout. So they lay a path of rubber along the ground, and then they back up onto it to give them more traction when they take off. So we're about to see Jay Upton kick this thing in the guts. This is a what's called a top bike, and Jay is currently number 2. I won't try and talk over the top of this. called a burnout. There he goes.
That was a burnout.
I don't know how your ears are, Liz, but I can still hear that thing.
Oh, because it was still going. You all right?
Yeah, I'm okay. My ears are a bit shattered. Here's the burnout I spoke of, and what they would do in competition is they'd actually reverse the bike. They'd only do that for about, I suppose, 15 or 20 feet, and then they'd reverse back onto that layer of rubber. That'd give them better traction to take off and cover the quarter mile in quicker time. So, well, we just thank Jay for taking the thing away now, and let's have a look at the weather and see if I can still make sense while my ears ring. Works and jerks. This is Donna Sisma. This is called a something stocky, a surplus stock. Now, Donna's ready to kick. This is going to be noisy as well, Steve.
Right.
So I won't be able to talk much, but she's going to lay a little track and then reverse back. Okay, that was the burnout.
Right.
She will now push it back on those tracks.
Gotcha.
So we can hear it all over again. Woo, a lot of horsepower there, Steve.
Certainly was, Mont. Sort of happened like what happens every day in the car park here at Channel 9.
Yeah, a bit like that, with you and Lizzie out there competing for space, yeah.
So are you actually going to drive something before we bid you farewell this Friday?
This one here, see this little, this, what's it called? This is Ben Gatt's car, obviously.
Car, Monty.
It's a car, thank you very much. I'll be driving a car, that's it. Yeah, thanks very much, Steve.
Okay, Mont, we'll see you drive a car.
Steve?
Had breakfast yet?
No.
Oh, we have. Neutral Bay Food Hall's been here, and boy, has Lizzie pigged out.
That's why you were thinking of Neutral Bay. Docking.
You got it.
I knew that.
Well, you do that every day. I mean,
Yeah.
tie up outside. Mont, you okay there?
Well, I was just thinking it probably wouldn't be a good idea for me to have had breakfast before this little adventure. I'm about...
Oh, one of those, is it?
I'm about to go for a bit of a scoot up the quarter mile with Ben Gatt. He's my driver.
Do you want to do the weather first, do you think? Just in case, I mean...
Absolutely going to do the weather first because you won't hear a word of what I say once we get this thing going.
Gotcha.
So we'll have a quick look at the weather and see what's going on. Little helmet on while the boys close the door. And you won't hear an awful lot until we get to the other end, Steve and Liz.
Monty looks a bit like that, doesn't he?
Do you think we should tell the people in Burke that he'll be there in about 15 seconds?
It's not long at all. Well, he's harnessed up, I'm pleased to see.
Okay.
Oh dear, look at all those changing of gears going on.
Very serious, isn't it?
Oh, Monty, he's ready. Oh.
It's funny how before we lost sight of Monty in the smoke, his cheeks sort of wrap around the back of his neck.
That is Monty, isn't it? Did they really take off?
Yeah, you know, Monty's a big host. Next thing you'd see George Harrison in a straw hat walking across the track.
Did you feel that, Liz?
Oh, like you can't believe.
You didn't move, Monty.
My eyes watered, I know that when the smoke came round.
That's quite a sensation. That sits you back in your seat, doesn't it? I got one glove on, anyway.
I noticed, I was a bit concerned you weren't ready.
I just got my helmet on and one glove on and away we go. The whole thing just, it doesn't have a sense as if it's grounded. It's almost as if you're leaving the ground, which is possibly what you're doing. Are we leaving the ground in that lot, were we?
Oh, on the burnout you don't, but on the actual run, the front wheels come up in the air. Yeah.
That's quite exhilarating. But I think it's a once only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't have breakfast too, Mont.
No. So am I, but I feel like some now. Thanks, Liz. So
You just take it easy there.
I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Monty.
All points go to the driver, so you can drive for different teams, you can drive different...
252.3. I think that's wrong, something, Richard.
Well, I know the figures all come up, but...
The bike races have done a lot to glamorise
Tracks over that way.
the showmanship, because they appreciate that probably there aren't as many bike fans on until it's car.
Gentlemen, start your engines. It's the same the world over. When the foot goes down, Astro's protection is what really counts. From international...
Can't go past no path now again.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Qualifying list that we have from the previous round.
Waiting on Adrian. Number 1 to number 5 in the space of one qualifying session. Steve's lined
Get away.
in the staging lanes with his Harker Transport Ford Thunderbird, and he intends to try and jump up a little bit if he can. The situation in the pits with the alcohol, he won't be taking any further part in the meeting with the Insanity Funny car, but we've still got 12 cars trying to fit into an 8-car field, and it will be a low 6-second field. On the bump at the moment, Big Baker. The possible on SGP Drag Street 1. 213.78 mile an hour. That won't move him in the field. The 638, 213 miles an hour. You're right about that top fuel leading. We said that would make that much difference. Rather than that top fuel dragster ring that he borrowed from Winfield Jim Reed is definitely costing him miles per hour. Stephen Archer, who's number 1 qualified, is now way back at number 5 after just behalf of the South Queensland Division of $77,000 to help the South Queensland team. Wayne Black has donated his serve inning high and green with that beautiful Wellsville office, and yet not yet qualified in the top 8, so he's really got a home court. And for Jeff Laverna Burnetta, 660, 214 miles an hour. Top ending the drag.
Get there at 10.790, 125 miles per hour. That's your action.
And let's go down stage.
On the track, Michael Briggs leading to a
10.79 at 1.
And John driving 13.5.
Cut it out, eh? See the 3 hamburgers? Make up that big, guys?
I'll never had. No, it's hinge.
some fuel up. I'll get some fuel up.
In the back of the car.
I don't know how it'll go with all the RF in there.
Yeah, I might help you.
Yeah, Lorette, hey.
Moving up and each up and down.
Well, this is
There, then it comes up, and it stays there, then it comes up.
right.
Now what? It should be fixed.
Yeah.
That's what it's doing.
Yeah. Might be just this.
Must be.
Yeah. Well, I'll just warm it.
Well, we leave it off for a while and see if we
I don't have to get the fuel, I'll just give it a squirt.
About 3.5 or something. Good luck anyway, Stan. We're sorry to burden you with our problems. Stay on that side.
Jeez.
Biggies.
Fuel drinks and Big Maker's car on helicopter.
looks like it's run out of fuel there now and it's extinguished itself. A big backfire. Big backfire from Glenn Michaels. The car left with a 60-foot time of .90. That is the hardest speed so far today. Qualifying section Crystal Darters, who's currently number one.
That's the fuel, that's the parachutes over there. That's the gears. Start one, that's reverse them. Reverse below, that's the clutch. You just push that when you want the car to stop. It's the only way you've got a neutral. Brake, turbine. Lay back, that's how you drive, just laying on the right. Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like...
This really scares the piss out of you, eh?
Yeah?
Oh, it does. The first few runs laying back there, you scares the piss out of you.
Because you've got restricted vision.
You want to stand up all the time.
Yeah. You're looking down over your nose trying to see where you're going.
That's, you press that, it's got another 100 horsepower as well. The high school.
Right.
You only press that if you're
just attached
shaking, right down the top end. It heats the engine up really quick, the exhaust temperatures, and you can only use it for about 2 seconds.
Bob's in another 2 round horses.
Pretty straightforward, I was only trouble is time for it.
That's a worry, isn't it? Especially when disc braking overheats happen.
Yeah, I've got one of the PSI rev numbers coming on Tuesday.
Have you?
Tuesday.
You got a little PSI number happening, have you? No.
The PSI rev limiter?
Yeah.
2003.
Yeah. How's that feel?
Oh, it's incredible the difference, isn't it, Ken?
There you go.
Sorry.
Drag titles at Eastern Creek. Still to come, the sensational Sue Stanley delivers a knockout aerobics routine, and we'll have Michael Holding's World Series cricket preview. But right now, it's time to go motor racing. 2 pursuits that may not receive as much coverage as Formula One or touring cars are drag racing and speedway. David Tapp has been catching up with the latest in both camps.
It's hard to believe that already 12 months have passed since championship drag racing returned to Australia's largest city. And last weekend was the second time in that period Eastern Creek would host the Australian Drag Racing Series Grand Final. The sport has enjoyed a fabulous year, attracting 750,000 spectators nationally. The Australian Series comprises 8 rounds covering all states, and this season more than 1,000 competitors have raced to the edge in pursuit of massive prize money stakes and the honour of carrying #1 in their respective category. Drag racing is no different to any sport, boasting an abundance of young talent, all desperate to make it to the big time. In drag racing, the big time is top fuel, the fastest cars on earth. Camden's Wayne Missingham is one of those young talents. After dominating the season in the popular Pro Stock category, the 26-year-old speedster realised a lifelong ambition and found himself behind the wheel of a 5,000 horsepower top fuel dragster. The grand finals, a huge crowd and a great car all added up to a perfect debut. On Saturday, Missingham strapped in for a qualifying run that turned into a nightmare. At 260 miles per hour, the parachute required to slow the vehicle down at the end of the quarter-mile dash failed to open. The crash that followed was horrifying, with Missingham ploughing into the bank at the top of Eastern Creek's main straight at heart-stopping speed. The $200,000 race car was totally destroyed. Missingham sustained multiple fractures to his left arm and wrist, a broken right arm, severe lacerations to his back, and both collarbones were broken. Australian Drag Racing National Director Tony Thornton was one of the first on the scene.
We saw Wayne go through the end of the quarter fairly quickly, and no parachutes at all. And obviously the car was still going at a fair rate of knots when it got to the top of the hill here.
As for a parachute not opening, it's a freaky state of affairs. I mean, it just doesn't happen.
Well, the cars are subject to a lot of vibration and all sorts of other things when they're running down the track. The parachutes are a big part of drag racing, and obviously on cars this fast they're a very necessary part. And sometimes there is a problem. They're operated by a fairly simple system within the car, but even the simplest thing can go wrong. And there's not a great deal you can do about it except try and make the best of the situation.
This was not the only mishap on Saturday. During the evening session, American star Glenn Micris blew an engine in his fully imported top fuel car. Queensland's Harold Campbell driving Insanity is famous for his burnouts, but never before has he decided to swap lanes during the middle of a race. And Terry Sainty had major front-end problems. He couldn't keep it on the ground. Australian #1 and perennial favourite Jim Reed was enjoying a relatively trouble-free weekend, and the master of the quarter mile was understandably happy.
I guess I'm a lot older than the rest of them. They're all young blokes now. They're all trying to kick my butt, so I've got to keep on my toes.
Reed continued his good form with a convincing win over Terry Sainty and was due to meet Robin Kirby in the final. That final didn't eventuate, and with the exception of Pro Stock, nor did any others. Torrential rain ended proceedings abruptly, but Reed had a sufficient lead in the point score table to secure his 12th Australian Championship, a world record number of titles for a driver in any form.
commence racing, and I think 10 of any form of motor race tantamount to the stringent and effective safety requirements of the Australian National Drag Racing Association.
Improve on those great 780, 770 times they ran yesterday.
Don't do much to improve your time, because all the time the car's been going up in the air, it's not done. Me, Bob, like a big bad blow in Cleveland.
Yes, you're right on, man. That's Benny Gatt out there. About 380 kilometres in Cleveland. A blower on top.
And Benny Gatt, of course, running in double B gas, the record being 7-4 this weekend, the Kansas crew, and virtually, I think she's been everywhere else as a regular here at Eastern. Runs at 8.129 at 167.6 Victoria, and of course Peter, one of the regular Walmart runners. Strong burnout from Kabir at this car, and they call the car Action Dodge. Meanwhile, Ben Goldor and another beautiful. That one to Superstar. only qualifying back under.
Into his own lane and then clicked it off.
Clean is for washing parts, alcohol is for drinking, and nitromethane is what you...
That fire will be behind Glenn. He's trying to get it off the racing surface as much as possible. The car's still rolling and the fire truck can't travel as fast as the fuel car to get up there. The flame looks like it's run out of fuel there now and it's extinguished itself, but a big backfire as well. Big backfire from Glenn Micros. The car left with a 60-foot time of .90.
That is the hardest lead so far today, I think.
Blown it to pieces right off the... Blown it to pieces right off the start line and it's still on fire. Seconds, 245.23 mile an hour. That is a good one for him. 8.95 flat. 5.520. Our crew of Rob Overberg and Milt Matey will be right.
Wayne's had a serious accident. The situation appears to be that there was a chute failure and the parachutes haven't done their job. There is one tyre mark up there, a complete braking area. Looks like he's been hard on the brakes trying to pull the car up, and it has left one hard tyre braking mark. So the theory is possibly it had oiled the other tyre a little bit and couldn't get grip. Wayne is out of the car in the ambulance. He has been conscious most of the time. He has suffered what looks like a badly broken arm and is generally knocked around and concussed. He will be sent to the hospital straight away at the moment. He, as I say, injuries are, considering he's crashed at 250 odd mile an hour, his injuries are fairly minor considering the smash and the impact that he has. He's used all the braking area and tried to take on the corner, and unfortunately at those sort of speeds, a 300-inch wheelbase dragster just doesn't turn right too well. Has ridden up the tyre wall and appears to have rolled a couple of times. The car is destroyed, but...
In the popular Pro Stock category, the 26-year-old speedster realised a lifelong ambition and found himself behind the wheel of a 5,000 horsepower top-fuel dragster. The grand finals, a huge crowd and a great car, all added up to a perfect debut. On Saturday, Missingham strapped in for a qualifying run that turned into a nightmare. At 260 miles per hour, the parachute required to slow the vehicle down at the end of the quarter-mile dash failed to open. The followed was horrifying, with Missingham ploughing into the bank at the top of Eastern Creek's main straight at heart-stopping speed. The $200,000 race car was totally destroyed. Missingham sustained multiple fractures to his left arm and wrist, a broken right arm, severe lacerations to his back, and both collarbones were broken. This was not the only mishap on Saturday. During the evening session, American star Glenn Micris blew an engine in his fully imported top-fuel car. Queensland's Harold Campbell driving Insanity is famous for his burnouts, but never before has he decided to swap lanes during the middle of a race.
Incredible ride. The car turned over backwards at the finish line. Hill flew through the air at over 260 miles.